my distinguished honor, I'm running out of distinguished honors here, but it's my distinguished honor to recognize the senator from the 53rd.
Thank you, Mr. President. What a pleasure it is to be here in this beautiful chamber that I have taken in the moment for this, one of the last times for me. And again, thank you for your leadership on behalf of the people of Georgia. You've done an outstanding job. A couple of moments in history before I tell the big surprise. In 1891, the Wrigley Spirit, I'll call it, company was founded in Chicago, and they have an establishment in Hall County, the chewing gum people. Weight Watchers was formed, and I've never cared. 1974, 54, President Eisenhower authorized the creation of the United States Air Force Academy in Colorado. 1970, President Richard Nixon signed the Public Health Regarding Cigarette Smoking Act to help calm that down. And it's a National Day for Love for Our Children's Day, very important for all of us. And also, the senator from the 24th told me it's a National Fun Day, and he always has fun, just like I do. And ladies and gentlemen, today is our Lieutenant Governor's birthday. So let's we'd have a thunderous applause if there's more people here. I just want you to know.
Thank you so much for that.
And the journal's been read and found to be correct.
In the 4 years I've been doing this, that's the most facts and figures you've ever delivered in your morning sermon. That was brilliant. Cannot wait to see what you do on day 40. All right, let's see where we're at. Is there objection to dispensing with the reading of the journal? The chair hears none, and the reading of the journal is dispensed with. Is there objection to the confirmation of the journal? The chair hears none, and the journal is confirmed. I'm not certain we can help you, but if you have a new idea, please, senators, bring your bills or resolutions if you want to introduce them to the secretary's desk at this time. Mr. Secretary, first reading a reference of Senate bills and resolutions, please.
Senate Resolution 842 by Senators Davenport or the 44th and others, a resolution creating the Senate Rosenwald Schools Study Committee and for the purposes.
Rules.
That completes the order, Mr. President.
Mr. Secretary, can you please read reports of standing committees?
Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Rules has had under consideration the following legislation and has instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation: that Senate Resolution 659 do pass by substitute, Senate Resolution 802 do pass by substitute, House Bill 469 do pass by substitute, House Bill 733 do pass by substitute, House Bill 1009 do pass by substitute, House Bill 1150 do pass by substitute, House Bill 1188 do pass by substitute, House Bill 1283 do pass by substitute, House Bill 1437 do pass by substitute, House Bill 1520 do pass by substitute, House Resolution 204 do pass by substitute, and House Resolution 664 do pass by substitute. Respectfully submitted, Senator Mullis of the 53rd District Chairman. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on State and Local Governmental Operations has had under consideration the following legislation and has instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation: that House Bill 1604 do pass, House Bill 1605 do pass, and House Bill 1607 do pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator Anderson of the 24th District Chairman. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on State and Local Governmental Operations has had under consideration the following legislation and has instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation: that House Bill 1541 do pass by substitute, House Bill 1556 do pass, House Bill 1557 do pass, House Bill 1600 do pass, and House Bill 1601 do pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator Anderson of the 24th District Chairman. That completes the order, Mr. President.
All right, it's now time for our morning roll call. It is now time for our morning roll call. Try that button one. There it goes. Now time for our morning roll call. Are there any motions to excuse?
Good morning, Mr.
The
President.
chair now recognizes the senator from the 33rd.
Good morning, Mr. President, and good morning to you all. I ask for unanimous consent to excuse the senator from the 43rd for business outside the Capitol, sir.
You only have one today?
Yes, sir, but there'll be more.
Without objection, the senator from the 43rd is excused. Are there any additional motions to excuse? I'm overwhelmed that there are none. All right. The secretary will call the roll. Senators, signify your presence by voting the yea switch. The secretary will unlock the machine. Looks like one of the bills that the senator from the 20th carries. For what purpose does the distinguished rules chairman rise?
I move to reconsider.
I don't think that's possible. Thank you for your attendance. Here, we'll actually make this official. All those that want to be counted as present, raise your hand. All those that don't want to be counted present, raise your hand. We're all here. We have a quorum. Will the pro tem come to the rostrum, please? When you invite the chaplain, you get to introduce him. All right, it's now time for our morning devotional, and ask that all senators take your seats, cease all audible conversations, and doorkeepers, lock them up. I'd like to recognize our distinguished pro tem to lead us in our Pledge of Allegiance today and to introduce to us our very familiar chaplain of the day.
Rise for the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And the Georgia flag. I pledge allegiance to the Georgia flag, the principles for which it stands, wisdom, justice, moderation. Man, this is a rowdy crowd this morning. Ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, it gives me great pleasure to introduce our good friend, your good friend, George Dillard. George and his wife, Renee, have 3 children, Tiffany, Alexis, and George Stewart Dillard IV. They call him Quattro. George can trace his family roots. Only a few people that I know of can do this. Back to the 1700s in Georgia. He grew up in Atlanta, played basketball at Atlanta Christian College. He has a master's of ministry, a doctor of philosophy. He served as pastor of 2 churches in Georgia since 1985 and has spent the last 27 years at Peachtree City Christian Church. He is an author. He is a husband and a father and a man of God. Please direct your attention to Pastor Dillard. Thank you.
Good morning. What the senator forgot to say is I'm living proof that anybody can get higher education. So we're in the middle of the NCAA basketball tournament. Final Four is coming up. And I can't help this time of year but think about when I was playing basketball for Atlanta Christian College, which is now Point University. And one particular game stands out in my mind during this time. It was tournament season, and we were playing in Miami. And we started the game off, got the jump ball, went down, shot, the ball went in the basket. As soon as it went through the basket, the referee called walking. Miami got the ball, went down the floor, scored. We got the ball, came down, shot, went through the hole. As soon as it went through the hole, the referee called walking. He called walking the first 6 times we went down the floor until we were down 12-0. Then, miraculously, there wasn't any walking calls after that until the score was 12-10. And when it got to 12-10, then we had 6 more walking calls. When we got back within 4, we had 6 more walking calls, at which point our head coach called timeout and said, we came over and he said, gentlemen, we are not going to win this game. So just try not to get hurt. And we did lose by 4 with 3 walking calls at the end of the game. That by no means could be considered justice. See, the word justice is used in God's word means to right a wrong or simply to do what is right. In Zechariah 7:9, it says this: "This is what the Lord Almighty has said, administer true justice, show mercy and compassion to one another." Justice means to stand for the forgotten, for the oppressed, and for those who have been wronged. It means not giving unfair advantage to some people over others. Justice is not only a matter for the courtroom or the 2 rooms of this Capitol building, but also, as I like to say, for our everyday walking around lives. It is not just police officers, judges, elected officials, and lawyers who should be concerned about justice, but every person who interacts with others. Justice demands that we ask the question, is this right and is it good? You know, justice sometimes seems hard to find in this world. And what we need most of all is for our leaders, the men and women of this chamber, the men and the women of the chamber across the hall, to stand in justice and for justice. It is part of the pledge that we just made, that we would stand for these things. And I just want to remind you that it starts here and it permeates our world. Because we have to ask the question, how can we expect everyone else to stand for justice if our leaders do not? And so I want to continue to encourage you to stand as our leaders in this state, this great state of Georgia, for justice with compassion and mercy for all of the people. Would you stand with me for a word of prayer? Father, as we contemplate our day, we ask for wisdom, for moderation, compassion and mercy, and a heart of justice. Father, we pray that not only the men and women of this august body would stand with justice, in justice, and for justice, but that all of us would be concerned to do what is right, to right what is wrong, and to be a people who take care of one another, look out for each other, and stand for justice for each other. And we ask all of these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
You got a future in preaching. Are there any unanimous consents? The chair sees none. Does any senator wish to rise on a point of personal privilege? Chair recognizes the senator from the 11th for a point of personal privilege. Mr. Secretary, can you read a privilege resolution, please?
Senate Resolution 408 by Senators Burke of the 11th and others. A resolution commending Frank W. Berry III and for other purposes. Whereas Frank W. Berry III has a long and consistent record of service to the community and this state has been recognized as one of the most dynamic and committed civic individuals in Georgia. And whereas Frank W. Berry III now serves as Executive Director of Markets and Business Development within EY US's Government and Public Sector Group to help clients address complex challenges in the health and human services landscape. And whereas in 2012, Frank W. Berry III was nominated by Governor Nathan Deal to serve as the Commissioner of the Department of Behavioral Health and Developmental Disabilities. And whereas in 2016, he was designated as the Commissioner of the Georgia Department of Community Health, managing a $14 billion agency responsible for healthcare purchasing, planning, and whereas it is abundantly fitting and proper that the outstanding accomplishments of this extraordinary individual be appropriately recognized. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Senate that the members of this body commend Frank W. Berry III for his efficient, effective, unselfish, and dedicated public service to the state of Georgia and extend the most sincere best wishes for continued health and happiness. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Is there objection to adoption of the resolution? The chair hears none, and the resolution is adopted. I'd like to get all senators' attention and now direct that attention to the well. The chair now recognizes the senator from the 11th for an important presentation. Doorkeepers, will you please close the doors? Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's my honor today to commend a gentleman, a scholar, and a friend for his long public service to the state of Georgia. You heard the resolution read, so I'm not going to spend time on those details, but Frank Berry and I got to know each other under very difficult circumstances. I'd just been elected in a special election in the middle of session against 7 opponents, I think 4 of which were from Thomasville. And as soon as I left here after my first abbreviated session, I went home and I got a phone call from Frank Berry who said, "Hey, Dean, by the way, I'm going to be in Thomasville this week and we're announcing that we're closing your state hospital," which had about, 400 or 500 jobs. And obviously, this was a result of the federal lawsuit, and the state of Georgia had to respond to it, and so it was a very difficult thing for Commissioner Berry, who was the commissioner of DBHDD at the time. But through that very difficult period of time, we got to know each other, and he got to know some of my family, my brothers, one of which is Freddie Powell Sims' favorite Burke. It's not me. And I've gotten to know his wife, Jamie, who's with him, and his girls. And he has been, in addition to serving, obviously, as commissioner for DBHDD for many years, then took on what most would consider the hardest job in state government, and that's managing the Medicaid agency, state health benefit plan, so on and so forth, that all are engaged in the big agency we know as Department of Community Health. As I said, Frank's been a great public servant, and I think he deserves a great Senate honor for the work and dedication and sacrifice that he's put for the state of Georgia and all its inhabitants. It's my great honor to present him with this resolution.
Thank you, Frank, for all your service. You've been a pleasure to work alongside in all the years that we've been trying to innovate around healthcare. You've done an amazing job. Thank you, and best wishes to you and your family. Chair recognizes the senator from the 5th for a point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning, friends and colleagues. Today, I have the great pleasure to recognize a very special guest in the gallery, Mrs. Melanie Monteman, the Consul General of Germany. Ms. Monteman has had a long and fruitful career, holding different positions over the course of her life, including serving as the Deputy Head of Mission of the German Embassy in Uzbekistan and the Deputy Head of Division for Immigration Law, Visa, and Immigration Policy in Berlin. Just last year, Ms. Monteman arrived here in Georgia with her husband and 3 sons, and she already started working to encourage further cooperation between Federal Republic of Germany and the state of Georgia in several fields, including science, technology, education, and culture. In her own words, we will work on shaping the future together. I would like you all to join me in giving Mrs. Monteman a welcoming round of applause. Thank you, appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. President, I yield the way.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 4th for a point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a quick note, each of you have on your desk the 33rd annual cookout, law enforcement cookout and appreciation dinner in Glenville, Georgia, presented by Wayne Dasher and a lot of his friends. Special guest is going to be Governor Brian Kemp. Normally there's somewhere between 2,000 and 3,000 people there, so it'd be a great opportunity for a lot of you to meet constituents down in that part of the world. Thank you, Mr. President.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 43rd for a point of personal privilege.
Good morning, Mr. President, and thank you. Good morning, colleagues. On your desk, you will see, this is not an announcement, but you will see a flyer for this Spring Golf Capital Kickoff. This is the introduction to Masters Week. Bridgestone is a company inside of Senate District 43. We are delighted to have you meet the new robots Otto, as well as see if you can get fitted for some golf balls if you play golf. But we would love to have you at Liberty Plaza from 11:30 to 1:30. And with that, Mr. President, I yield well. Thank you.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 35th for a point of personal privilege.
It's a great day in the state of Georgia. We're almost at sine die, and we've addressed many, many pieces of legislation. So, Mr. President, colleagues, today is South Fulton Constituent Day at the Capitol. South Fulton and I'm joined by the senator from the 39th, because we both have the honor of representing parts of this area: Hateville, East Point, College Park, Union City, Fairburn, Palmetto, the city of South Fulton, Chattahoochee Hills, and Southwest Atlanta. And we have will you please stand up in the gallery? We have elected officials from all of those areas who are with us now. I have city council persons from the city of South Fulton. If you raise your hands, we have our East Point representatives. We have our Greater South Fulton Chamber of Commerce president, and our East Point city council person. And we are so honored, Senator from the 36th, 35th, and 39th, welcome you, and College Park. Oh, College Park. We see College Park. Who else am I missing? And other business owners. So please stand, all of you, and receive a warm welcome from our state senate. Thank you for being here, and thank you for supporting everything with Georgia. We appreciate you. Did you want to say something? Thank you. And we have Bishop Lackey, too. I'm sorry I didn't mention you, and you have been just the awesome minister to bless us in this state. Thank you.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 42nd for a point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's my honor to announce the Doctor of the Day, Dr. Gulshan Harji. She's been Doctor of the Day with us many times before, and she's so dedicated. Very grateful for her service. She was born in Tanzania and fled the country when Idi Amin was expelling Asians. She then attended high school in Pakistan, but fled again due to war between India and Pakistan. She went to college in Iran, and midway through medical school was forced to flee again due to the Iranian Revolution and the embargo. She had the opportunity to interview with Dr. Lewis Sullivan, who admitted her to the 2-year charter class of Morehouse School of Medicine by attrition. She graduated from medical school at Emory University, following a residency in internal medicine. Since beginning her career, she founded a state-of-the-art primary care clinic in Decatur, and in 2015 co-founded a free, comprehensive, 100% volunteer-operated clinic for the indigent and refugees in Clarkston, Georgia. She's also established scholarships for high school students seeking to enter healthcare, and an additional endowment at Morehouse School of Medicine for scholarships to incoming students. She has been the recipient, unsurprisingly, of numerous humanitarian awards. Thank you, Dr. Harji, for your service to the state of Georgia and to the General Assembly today. I yield the well.
Chair recognizes the Rules Chairman for a point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ladies and gentlemen, it is springtime. And I have 75 cattle out front of my house, and my daughter wants to plant a garden, and she tricked me into that last year when she said, let's do a garden. We did, and we grew weeds. They were wonderful. They're this tall, and I'm not doing that again. And now she wants a chicken coop. Another bad idea. That would feed the possum and raccoons that we talked about in Ag Committee. But more importantly, it is a great day, and it's a great future for all of us, and I commend all of you. And I especially want to commend Franco over here for dressing appropriately. He is dressing like we're in spring. So let's give him a hand, and also everybody that helps us in our security. Here, here, hey, hey. You didn't think I was going to do that today. And today, again, is the Lieutenant Governor's birthday, and also the senator from the 10th District, who's not in here right now. And I think they're both 29, so let's give them a hand. Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to embarrass you again.
I would make Franco mad. I made you smile. Chair recognizes the senator from the 56th, the distinguished, well-dressed senator from Roswell, fellow member of the Hair Club. Chairman of the Hair Club.
Hair Caucus, Mr. President. Yes, indeed. Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to take a moment to point out the great work being done by law enforcement throughout the state of Georgia. Some of you may have read just a couple of days ago that investigators through the GBI seized millions of doses of drugs and enough fentanyl to kill 125,000 people. The GBI, working with local law enforcement, has done an extraordinary job, and a lot of this began with Governor Brian Kemp and his work to create the Gang Task Force. The Gang Task Force is probably the greatest form of unity and communications to combat the problems we're seeing today in violent crime throughout our state. In addition, Governor Kemp set up the multi-agency response team in order to help out specifically in the city of Atlanta, using a lot of our state officers, both through the Georgia State Patrol, Natural Resources, GBI, and all of our other finest who serve us in uniform. Just to give you a quick synopsis, they completed 23,600 traffic stops, 588 DUI stops, 213 drug arrests, 572 pursuits, nearly 1,300 vehicles impounded, nearly 16,000 citations, 451 fugitives were arrested, 26 of whom were murder suspects. The seizure of 342 stolen or missing weapons, and they recovered 312 stolen vehicles valued at nearly $6.5 million. These men and women who are serving us every day in law enforcement are called the finest for a reason. They are our heroes. Please, when you see someone serving as a first responder, go up there, shake their hand, and say thank you for your service. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the will.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 2nd for a point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members of this esteemed body, I'd like to recognize the president of Payne College, and located in Augusta, Georgia, Dr. Cheryl Dozier, who's sitting over to my right. Payne College was established in 1882. It was originally established by the Methodist Church to train preachers and teachers. Since that time, since 1882, it has been around to educate thousands of Georgians, to go back not only to the classroom, but go back to every field of human endeavor. Payne College has done so much, not only for Georgia, but so much for the state. And Payne College is here to serve. And one of our greatest graduates, Dr. Dominic Hugo Mack, is in our audience today too. He's a graduate of Payne College of 1981. He was my college roommate and my medical school roommate, my fraternity line brother, and one of my best friends. But we're here to talk about Payne College, and the significance is not only done for Georgia, but for this country. We thank you, Dr. Dozier, for your service. We thank you, Dr. Dozier, for your commitment to serve this community. And let's go Payne College. As we go PC one time. Thank you very much. I yield the well.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 34th with a point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. President and members of the Senate. I rise to say first, where did the LG go? Happy birthday, LG. Didn't know it was your birthday till today. But more importantly, I wanted to recognize a very dear friend of mine as well as a colleague, recognizing and commending Senator Emanuel D. Jones, and for other purposes. Whereas, following his educational journey at the University of Pennsylvania and Columbia University, Senator Jones returned to Georgia, where he opened his first automobile dealership in 1992. And whereas Senator Jones has owned and operated Legacy Ford of McDonough, Georgia for 30 years, in addition, he has owned and operated more than 5 other dealerships across the South. Senator Jones has devoted many hours of his time and resources to the betterment of his community. Senator Jones has developed excellent relationships within the community of Henry and DeKalb counties. Senator Jones has received many accolades and awards, among them the Ford Motor Minority Dealer Executive Directors Award and the Governor's Proclamation Entrepreneur of the Year, and Legacy Ford has been recognized by the Henry County Chamber of Commerce as Business of the Year. It is abundantly fitting and proper that the outstanding contributions and accomplishments of this distinguished Georgian be appropriately recognized. Therefore, be it resolved by the Senate that the members of this body recognize and commend Senator Emanuel Jones for his outstanding service to his community and to the great state of Georgia. Be it further resolved that the Secretary of Senate is authorized and directed to make an appropriate copy of the resolution available for distribution to Senator Emanuel Jones. Senator, join me as I present to you this resolution acknowledging all of your great accomplishments. Happy birthday, and we wish you many, many more. And most of your colleagues that I could pin down did sign this resolution, so don't jump me by myself, okay? Thank you so much. That's what I was trying to tell him. It's your birthday too. Come on, come on, come on. Come on. We'll take one right here before we go down there.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 36th for a point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, I rise to lift up the name of someone who has left this earth but leaves behind a lifetime of service as a pastor and a community leader. We have lost Pastor P.L. Redmond Jr. P.L. Redmond Jr. founded and pastored for more than 20 years the New Calvary Missionary Baptist Church here in Southwest Atlanta. His faithful ministry has built that church from 24 chartered members to over 2,000 members today. New Calvary Missionary Baptist Church has made such a difference in communities that I serve. This is a pastor whose faith is demonstrated in the good works of a lifetime. He built a community improvement organization and has fostered many positive additions to the community of Southwest Atlanta. His 57-year marriage to Evelyn Carmichael Redmond was a testament to his faithfulness to family and his service to the Lord. We will join this weekend in funeralizing Pastor Redmond, recognizing his long life of service to his church, his God, and his community. Would you join me for a moment of silent prayer in recognition of this great life that Pastor Redmond lived and the countless people that he served?
Senator has asked us to rise for a moment of silence.
Thank you.
All right, you've got a consent calendar of privilege resolutions before you. Does any senator wish to remove a resolution from the consent calendar? The chair sees none. Is there objection to adoption of the resolutions on the consent calendar? The chair hears none, and the resolutions on the consent calendar are adopted. You have on your desk a consent calendar of privilege resolutions. Expressing the will of the Senate, please take a minute to review these. Does any senator wish to remove a resolution from the consent calendar expressing the will of the Senate? For what purpose does the senator from the 24th rise?
Mr. President, I'd like to excuse Senator from the 54th doing business inside the Capitol.
Without objection, the senator from the 54th is excused. Does any senator wish to remove a resolution from the for what purpose does the majority whip rise?
Like to ask for unanimous consent to excuse the senator from the 30th for business inside the Capitol.
Without objection, the senator from the 30th is excused. Let's try this for a third time. Does any senator wish to remove a resolution from the consent calendar expressing the will of the Senate? The chair hears none. Is there objection to adoption of the resolutions on this consent calendar? The chair hears none, and the resolutions on the consent calendar expressing the will of the Senate are adopted. You now have a consent calendar of establishing various Senate study committees. Take a moment to review these. Does any senator wish to remove a resolution from this consent calendar? The chair hears none. Is there objection to adoptions of the resolutions on this consent calendar? The chair hears none, and the resolutions establishing Senate study committees are adopted. Are there any motions to withdraw and commit? You have a consent calendar of local bills now before you. Mr. Secretary, are there any objections filed to any bills on the local calendar?
Mr. President, there are no objections filed.
Is there objection to agreeing with the report of the Committee on State and Local Government, which is favorable to the passage of the bills on the local calendar? The chair hears none, and the report of the committee is agreed to. The questions on the passage of the bills on the local calendar. All those in favor vote yea, opposed nay. The Secretary will unlock the machine. On the passage of the bills on the local calendar, the yeas are 46, the nays are 1. And these bills, having received the requisite constitutional majority, are therefore passed. For what purpose does the majority whip rise? Chair recognizes the majority leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask for unanimous consent that the following bills, resolutions be engrossed. HB 1421, HB 1291, HB 1437, HB 428, HB 923, HB 1039, HB 1058, HB 1280, HR 594, HR 732, HR 842. In addition, I ask for unanimous consent that we dispense with the reading to the caption of all those bills and resolutions.
The majority leader has asked for unanimous consent that the following bills be engrossed and that the dispense of the reading of those captions. They are House Bill 1421, House Bill 1291, House Bill 1437, House Bill 428, House Bill 923, House Bill 1039, House Bill 1058, House Bill 1280, House Resolution 594, House Resolution 732, and House Resolution 842. Is there objection? There is objection. Would you like is your objection to dispense with the reading or to dispense with just the engrossment? There is objection to engrossment. The majority leader waves. Would you like to speak? They waive. All those in favor of engrossing the bills mentioned previously, vote yea. Opposed, nay. The Secretary will unlock the machine. On the motion to engross, the yeas are 33 and the nays are 19, and those bills mentioned previously have been engrossed. Chair recognizes the senator from the 20th for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate agree to the House substitute to Senate Bill 361.
Ms. Secretary, can you please read the caption of Senate Bill 361?
Senate Bill 361, a bill by Senators Walker of the 20th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 7 of Title 48 of the OCGA relating to income taxes so as to enact the Law Enforcement Strategic Support Act to provide for tax credits for certain contributions made by taxpayers to certain local law enforcement foundations and for other purposes. Mr. President, the Committee of the House on Ways and Means recommend that this bill do pass by substitute. Mr. President, the House offers the following substitute to Senate Bill 361, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 7 of Title 48 of the OCGA relating to income taxes so as to enact the Law Enforcement Strategic Support Act to provide for tax credits for certain contributions made by taxpayers to certain local law enforcement foundations.
Thank you, Mr. President, and happy birthday, Mr. President. Senate Bill 361 is the Lieutenant Governor's Less Crime Act. It allows... If you could stand by for a moment, Senator. I can assure you we will have no chance of getting through these special actions in the rules calendar if we continue to talk this aggressively from your desks or from around your desks. I would ask you to give your full undivided attention to the senator in the well. And if you have a conversation that can't wait, there's a big hallway outside that you can have that conversation in. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. As I said, this is the Lieutenant Governor's Less Crime Act, and what is modeled after the rural hospital tax credit, if you'll remember. It passed unanimously out of this body. It enables local communities to engage with their local law enforcement and support them financially through a law enforcement foundation and to receive a state income tax credit for that support. I think it's going to allow us to provide a lot additional resources to law enforcement and also bring the community together in partnership with their local law enforcement. The House made a few minor changes to it. I want to thank the House for working with us on this, and I'm really excited what this is going to do to help us attack our crime problem that we're seeing throughout the country and in Georgia too. So I ask for your favorable consideration. I'll be happy to answer any questions if there are any. You don't appear to have any questions. All right, I yield the well. Thank you. Does any other senator? Chair recognizes the... For what purpose does the senator from the 56th rise?
I'd ask unanimous consent to excuse the senator from the 14th.
Without objection, the senator from the 14th is excused. Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the motion? The chair sees none. The senator from the 20th has moved that this Senate agrees to the House substitute to Senate Bill 361. All those in favor vote yea, opposed nay. The secretary will unlock the machine. On the motion, the yeas are 54, the nays are 0, and the Senate has agreed to the House substitute to Senate Bill 361. I want to thank the senator from the 20th for your great work on carrying this important piece of legislation across. I want to thank our colleagues on the other side of the chamber, or on the other side of the building, for working with us on this. I'm so excited to see us be able to work with our local law enforcement officers to be able to continue to keep Georgians safe. Thank you all for your support for this. Ms. Secretary, can you please read a resolution?
Senate Resolution 747 by Senator Miller and others. A resolution recognizing and commending Representative Terry England on his outstanding public service and for other purposes. Whereas Representative Terry England has long been recognized by the citizens of this state for the vital role he has played in the leadership and deep personal commitment to the welfare of the citizens of Georgia. And whereas he has diligently and conscientiously devoted innumerable hours of his time, talents, and energy towards the betterment of the community of this state as evidenced dramatically by his superlative service with the Georgia House of Representatives. And whereas first elected to the Georgia House of Representatives in 2004, Representative England has dedicated years of his life to serving his citizens of Barrow County, House District 116, and the state of Georgia. And whereas since 2011, Representative England has been the chairman of the House Appropriations Committee, where he has gallantly focused on cutting government waste, streamlining services, and reforming Georgia's tax code. And whereas this distinguished gentleman has given inspiration to many through his high ideals, morals, and deep concern for his fellow citizens, and he possesses the vast wisdom which comes only through experience and strength of character. And whereas he is a person of magnanimous strengths and unimpeachable reputation for integrity, intelligence, fairness, and kindness, and whereas it is abundantly fitting and proper that this outstanding accomplishments of this gentleman be appropriately recognized. Now therefore be it resolved by the Senate that the members of this body recognize and commend Representative Terry England for his efficient, effective, unselfish, and dedicated public service to the state of Georgia, congratulate him upon the grand occasion of his retirement, and extend the most sincere best wishes for continued health and happiness. That completes the order.
Is there objection to adoption of the resolution? The chair hears none, and the resolution is adopted. Nobody objected because the budget hasn't passed yet. It is my honor to recognize the senator from the 19th to introduce a very, very special guest to this chamber who has been a great friend of all of ours, who's a great friend of 11 million Georgians, who works so hard every single day of the year, not just while we're in session, and I can tell you is a great friend of mine. With that, I recognize a senator from the 19th.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator from 49th, thank you for letting me speak to your resolution, and I know that every member in this body signed it. I'm honored that I had the opportunity to work with two great mentors. One was Senator Jack Hill. You know that very well. The second is the man who stands behind me, who our body honors today. Chairman England has been a mentor and a friend. His way of leading me and teaching me on matters in the budget has been superb. He never came heavy-handed. He always came with a different approach and said, well, what if we turned the prism and looked at it a slightly different way? He also has been very kind to many of you, as you know. Your districts reflect his handiwork as he's worked to not only strengthen state resources, but also to make sure that state taxpayer dollars were always prudently spent. His hands will be on our state budget for many, many years to come. He has been a friend not only to Barrow County, but to all corners of the state. But I do get to tell one funny story. Every year in the budget, we get a letter from Coach Vince Dooley. And Coach Dooley asks us for $25,000 every year for the Georgia Historical Society. And every single year, we give Coach Dooley $25,000 for the Georgia Historical Society. But I have to endure, and Chairman Hill had to endure, Terry England repeating a story from 1977 every single year we got this Coach Dooley request. It would start something like this. Blake, you remember in 1977, I was wider than I was tall, and I was working on a project with my dad, a construction project in Athens, within walking distance of the Athens Arby's. And 10-year-old Terry England loved the lunch part of the day because it always meant that I could go to the Arby's and get my, as he calls them, tater cakes. Well, one day, when little wider than he was tall Terry England was standing in that line, almost at the front. You know that. You know the Athens Arby's, the one there on Broad Street, had a big cowboy hat for years. He was almost to the front when a white Lincoln Town car pulled up. The white Lincoln Town car parked right at the door. A man got out of that white Lincoln Town car, walked into that Arby's, and the seas of the Arby's parted. Everyone got out of his way. Everyone except little, short, wider than he was tall, Terry England. But the waitress or the cashier behind the counter knew who she was supposed to take next. You see, the man who got out of that white Lincoln Town car was the man who had won several SEC championships, would soon win a national championship, and was the king of Athens, not just the Athens Arby's. Little Terry England tells us that story every single time the Georgia Historical Society asked for the $25,000 for their very small request in our $30 billion budget. And Terry, Representative, Mr. Chairman, while we could honor you today, we knew that there was one thing that only we could do that you would remember forever, and that possibly would be able to remedy the wrongs that were started in 1977 so very long ago. So if he doesn't mind coming in from the anteroom here. Coach Dooley, Coach, we'd like to hand you the mic if there's anything you'd like to say. All of you know a very well-respected Georgia citizen and really a great American, Coach Vince Dooley.
Thank you. Well, a special treat. It's a special treat today for Terry, but it's a special treat for the Georgia Bulldogs with Kirby Smart winning the championship. So, but even more important, this story that I hear just gets better and better every year. But I'll never have to hear it again because he's got enough tater chips that ought to last you for a while. But do appreciate you supporting the Georgia Historical Society. We first met because Todd Gross is over here, who thinks that if I could come up to talk to Terry, that maybe that'll help getting good substance from the budget. But Todd didn't know about the tater story. And if he had known that, he never would have had me coming up here and meeting him. But we do appreciate everything that you've done, the respect that you have, and we know it's been a, quote, part-time job, and you're getting ready to step aside. But remember, I'm just down the road. And when Todd first mentioned it, I said, well, this ought to be great because we got so much in common. We like red and black. We like Bulldogs. Joe got a double G at, and we like Glory, Glory to old Georgia and Glory, Glory to old Wanda Barra. And President Barra was a president of Georgia for 18 years and one of the greatest ones we've ever had. So with all that in common, it looked like he was going to be a runaway until the tater story got in there and messed it up. But anyway, thanks for everything. And God bless you. We'll be right back.
I don't know how to follow that. Thank you, Coach. I will enjoy my tater cakes. Thank you all for this honor. I've never spoken from this podium before, and it is indeed humbling to have the opportunity to come over here and talk to y'all today and just tell y'all thank you. And I'll tell you what I told my colleagues just a little bit ago. Thank you for your friendship. Many of you I haven't had a chance to get to know real well, and that I consider that my loss. Lord tells us to love one another, and that's what I've tried to do for 18 years as I've been here representing the folks back home. And, you know, as we lost one of our most cherished friends in this chamber, Jack Hill, I know many of you are very close to him, but he and I had an especially close bond in the work that we had done together for so many years. And I have enjoyed this young whippersnapper that came over to the house under the guise that there were some tremendous issues. I'll get even with him later. But y'all, I can't tell you thank you enough, and how much it means to me, and especially to be here on John Bullock Day. John is a very dear friend of mine as well, and we've worn blue jeans on the house floor a time or two in his honor as well. But thank y'all for this. Thank you for allowing me to serve with you, and thank you for what you do for all of your folks back home as well. God bless you. Thank you.
All right, the Senate will come back to order. The Senate will come back to order. We have a very special guest that I just caught eyes with. We have former Senator P.K. Martin, who's with us over here on the wall. Thank you for joining us. You came down to celebrate my birthday today. Is that? Thank you. Thank you so much. Is that April Fool's? Yeah, that's funny. Senator from the 56, have any more bills on the calendar? If the senator from the 20th is by the floor, we're about ready to call your bill forward. Senator from the 20th. Chair recognizes the senator from the 20th, the agriculture chairman, for a motion. We're going to move fast, so if you're outside the hallway, pay attention. We're going to be bringing them forward.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate agree to the House substitute to Senate Bill 337.
Ms. Secretary, please read the caption.
Senate Bill 337, a bill by Senators Walker of the 20th and others. A bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 5 of Title 45 of the OCGA relating to vacation of office so as to provide for the suspension of compensation for certain public officers who are suspended because of indictment for a felony and for other purposes. Mr. President, the House offers the following substitute to Senate Bill 337, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 5 of Title 45 of the OCGA relating to vacation of office so as to provide for the suspension of compensation for certain public officers who are suspended because of indictment for a felony and for other purposes. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 20th to speak to his motion.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, Senate Bill 337 passed out of this body with overwhelming support. It relates to pay for indicted local public officials. So if they're indicted for a felony, removed from office based on their determination that they're unable to perform the office, then the locals would be able to suspend their pay. The House added a language that made it perfectly clear that if they are exonerated, that the back pay would be reinstated even if their term of office had expired. I ask for your favorable consideration. Be happy to answer any questions if there are any.
You don't appear to have any
All
questions.
right, I'll yield the well.
Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the motion? The chair sees none. The senator from the 20th has moved that the Senate agree to the House substitute to Senate Bill 337. All those in favor of that motion signify by voting yea. Opposed, nay. The secretary will unlock the machine. On the motion, the yeas are 47, the nays are 4, and the Senate has agreed to the House substitute to Senate Bill 337. Chair recognizes the senator from the 11th for a motion.
Mr. President, I move that the Senate agree to the House substitute to Senate Bill 496.
Ms. Secretary, can you please read the caption?
Senate Bill 496, a bill by Senators Burke of the 11th and others. A bill to be entitled an act to amend Article 2 of Chapter 16 of Title 45 of the OCGA relating to death investigations so as to require a medical examiner's inquiry when a pregnant female dies and an inquest, and for other purposes. Mr. President, the House offers the following substitute to Senate Bill 496, A bill to be entitled an act to amend Article 2 of Chapter 16 of Title 45 of the OCGA relating to death investigation so as to require a medical examiner's inquiry when a pregnant female dies and an inquest and for the purposes. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 11th to speak to the motion.
Thanks, Mr. President. Senate Bill 496 is the postpartum autopsy bill. The House made minor changes and made it clear of who needed an autopsy. I appreciate your support, and I yield the well.
That is a veteran move right there. Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the motion? The chair sees none. The senator from the 11th has moved that the Senate agrees to the House substitute to Senate Bill 496. All those in favor vote yea. Opposed, nay. The secretary will unlock the machine. On the motion, the yeas are 51, the nays are 0, and the Senate has agreed to the House substitute to Senate Bill 496. Chair recognizes the senator from the 52nd.
Mr. President, I move that the Senate agree to the House substitute on Senate Bill 343.
Ms. Secretary, please read the caption.
Senate Bill 343, a bill by Senators Huffstetler of the 52nd and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Title 47 of the OCGA relating to retirement and pensions so as to remove the prohibition of granting post-retirement benefit adjustments to any individual who became a member on or after July 1st, 2009 of the Employees Retirement System of Georgia, the Georgia Legislative Retirement System, or the Georgia Judicial Retirement System, and for the purposes. Mr. President, the House offers the following substitute to Senate Bill 343, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 2 of Title 47 of the OCGA relating to Employees Retirement System of Georgia so as to revise provisions related to employer contributions for credible service for forfeited leave, to increase the rate of employer contributions to certain members' 401k accounts based upon years of credible service, and for other purposes. There is also an auditor's certification attached. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 52nd to speak to the motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. This was the pension part of the upgrade to the employee compensation package that's been looked at in the budget this year. There were 4 items we looked at: COLAs for past employees, a much improved 401k program, the pre-funding of the PTO that is more fairly appropriated to each department and is more cost effective by putting it in there at the beginning, let it earn money. And the fourth thing was we took away the forbidden part of a COLA for current employees. The House took out that the part we had in there that and said that they would still forbid current employees from getting a COLA. I'm disappointed in that part, but I think it's important that we agree and get all these other components put in. We can look for other avenues for that later, and I would urge your support of the House substitute.
You don't appear to have any questions. Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the motion? The chair sees none. The senator from the 52nd has moved that this Senate agree to the House substitute to Senate Bill 343. All those in favor vote yea. Opposed, nay. The secretary will unlock the machine. On the motion, the yeas are 54, the nays are 0, and the Senate has agreed to the House substitute to Senate Bill 343. Chair recognizes the distinguished senator from the 56th.
Mr. President, I move the Senate agree to the House substitute to Senate Bill 404.
Ms. Secretary, please read the caption.
Senate Bill 404, a bill by Senators Albers of the 56 and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Article 3 of Chapter 11 of Title 31 of the OCGA relating to emergency medical services personnel, so as to authorize the Georgia Bureau of Investigation and the Federal Bureau of Investigation to retain certain fingerprints under certain conditions and for other purposes. Mr. President, the House offers the following substitute to Senate Bill 404, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Article 3 of Chapter 11, Title 31 of the OCGA relating to emergency medical services personnel, so as to authorize the GBI and the FBI to retain certain fingerprints under certain conditions and for other purposes. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 56th to speak to the motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is the bill we passed out of the Senate that simply allows for our EMTs and paramedics to keep their fingerprints on file when they get background checks done. We did do an amendment on the floor. Thank you to the senator from the 27th. Unfortunately, in the other 24 places this is in the code, it was not going to be viable to make that happen, so this goes back to the original one, and this is a department bill brought by the Department of Public Health. It'll help out our first responders. If there are no questions, I'll yield the well.
I'm waiting for questions. Hold on. Nope, no questions.
Thank you.
Any other senator wish to speak for or against the motion? The chair sees none. Senator from the 56 has moved that the Senate agree to the House substitute to Senate Bill 404. All those in favor vote yea, opposed nay. Secretary will unlock the machine. On the motion, the yeas are 49, the nays are 5, and the Senate has agreed to the House substitute to Senate Bill 404. Chair recognizes the senator from the 1st.
Mr. President, I move that the Senate agree to the House substitute to Senate Bill 403.
Ms. Secretary, please read the caption.
Senate Bill 403, a bill by Senators Watson of the 1st and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Title 37 of the OCGA relating to mental health, so as to enact the Georgia Behavioral Health and Peace Officer Co-Responder Act and for other purposes. Mr. President, the House offers the following substitute to Senate Bill 403, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Title 37 of the OCGA relating to mental health, so as to enact the Georgia Behavioral Health and Peace Officer Co-Responder Act, to provide for immunity for the transport of a patient to a facility, to provide for the establishment of co-responder programs, and for other purposes. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 1st to speak to his motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is the co-responder bill. There were 2 word changes relating to immunity for law enforcement, and those are the only changes relating to Senate Bill 403. Mr. President, I'll be happy to answer any questions. If not, I'll ask for your favorable consideration.
You don't appear to have any questions. Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the motion? The chair sees none. The senator from the 1st has moved that this Senate agree to the House substitute to Senate Bill 403. All those in favor vote yea, opposed nay. The Secretary will unlock the machine. On the motion, the yeas are 54, the nays are 0, and the Senate has agreed to the House substitute to Senate Bill 403. Well, thank the Senator from the 1st. Great work, and I know the Georgians will benefit from the co-responder model, and grateful for our friends on the other side also helping us through this process. Chair recognizes the Senator, the Rules Chairman.
Mr. President, I move that the Senate disagree to the House substitute to Senate Bill 346.
I thought I was recognizing you for a parliamentary inquiry, but I guess we'll go ahead and take on your legislation. Like always, you've gone out of order. Mr. Secretary, please read the caption to Senate Bill 346.
Senate Bill 346, a bill by Senators Melissa of the 53rd and others. A bill to be entitled an act to amend Part 1 of Article 3 of Chapter 5 of Title 50 of the OCGA relating to general authority, duties, and procedure of the Department of Administrative Services so as to prohibit companies owned and operated by China to bid on or submit a proposal for a state contract and for other purposes. Mr. President, the House offers the following substitute to Senate Bill 346. A bill to be entitled an act to amend Part 1 of Article 3 of Chapter 5 of Title 50 of the OCGA relating to general authority, duties, and procedure of the Department of Administrative Services so as to prohibit companies owned or operated by China to bid on or submit a proposal for a state contract and for other purposes. That completes the order, Mr. President.
You're going to drive your wife crazy in retirement. Chair recognizes the Senator from the 53rd to speak to his motion.
Thank you, Mr. President, and my colleagues. The House has changed Senate Bill 346, which was the China bill. And the original bill said that any company that is owned and operated by the Chinese government that we shouldn't do business with. They added any company that's from China. Well, that defeats the whole purpose. And because they can't help that necessarily, they're in China, they're just business people. And I have a company in my district from China that employs 2,500 people. So I would appreciate you helping me send this message back to the House that we need to go to the original form or at least not go to their form. Mr. President, I'd be delighted to answer any questions.
You don't have any questions.
Thank you, colleagues. I appreciate you. Please vote yes. Thank you.
Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the motion? The chair sees none. The senator from the 53rd has asked this body to disagree to the House substitute to Senate Bill 346. Is there objection? The chair sees none, and we have disagreed. You continue to be a maverick and great leader. Ish. Chair recognizes the senator from the 31st.
Mr. President, I move that the Senate agree to the House substitute to Senate Bill 319.
Mr. Secretary, please read the caption.
Senate Bill 319, a bill by Senators Anna Vitarte of the 31st and others. A bill to be entitled an act to amend Article 1 of Chapter 3 of Title 12 of the OCGA relating to general provisions regarding parks, historic areas, memorials, and recreation. To amend Part 3 of Article 4 of Chapter 11 of Title 16 of the OCGA relating to carrying and possession of firearms and for other purposes. Mr. President, the House offers the following substitute to Senate Bill 319. A bill to be entitled an act to amend Article 1 of Chapter 3 of Title 12 of the OCGA relating to general provisions regarding parks, historic areas, memorials, and recreation, so as to revise provisions of law regarding the use or possession of any handgun in a park, historic site, or recreational area, and for other purposes. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 31st to speak to his motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate Bill 319, we've already debated. This is constitutional carry. You know where you stand. If you don't like it, vote red. If you like it, vote green. Mr. President, I yield the will.
Senator has yielded the well. Does any other senator wish to speak for or against? Chair recognizes the senator from the 42nd to speak for the measure.
Thank you, Mr. President. To speak against the measure, we just passed Senate Bill 361, a bill that supports law enforcement, the Lieutenant Governor's bill. But now we have a bill that makes their jobs much more difficult and more dangerous. There's a narrative about crime, especially in Atlanta, and criminals, and that violent crime is a problem. And violent crime is, in fact, a problem. But let's talk about the reasons why it's a problem. Part of the reason, a not small part of the reason, I contend, is because everyone has guns. The proliferation of weapons without safeguards is what makes our streets dangerous and causes so much bloodshed. Through our state's laws, we have eliminated the ability for law enforcement to try to get the gun problem and therefore the crime problem under control. I want to quote a couple of our police chiefs on the gun problem that this bill makes worse. Atlanta Police Chief Rodney Bryant described it this way: the proliferation of weaponry that we're seeing on the streets, we have to do something about that. 2,008 guns were stolen from cars in Atlanta last year. And the ATF reports that between 2000 and 2017, 104,000 guns were stolen in Georgia, which is fourth in the nation. In response to questions about this bill, Police Chief in Savannah, Roy Minter Jr., said, "Why now? Why is this coming up now?" One of the concerns I have with this bill is more people leaving their guns in cars and people leaving their guns in other places because there is more freedom to have that gun with them. And then that leads to thousands of guns being stolen and thousands of guns used in crimes. We're removing one of our small checks on keeping weapons carry licenses out of the hands of criminals, thousands of whom have been denied this very permit every year. Criminals, not law-abiding citizens, criminals. We're also exporting our Georgia gun problem nationwide. We are one of the largest exporters of crime guns nationwide. According to the ATF, we are third in the nation in exporting crime guns to other states. In 2020, over 19,000 guns recovered in crimes were traced to the state of Georgia. David Chipman, a retired agent in the ATF, described gun trafficking as simple as a road trip. The only reason that a New Yorker will drive all the way down I-95 to Georgia to get a gun is because it's difficult for a criminal to get a gun in New York. If it was easy, they wouldn't do the drive. So welcome to Georgia, where we make it real easy for criminals to get guns and send them all over the rest of the country. I'm bringing this up because it is disingenuous to talk about any sort of crime problem or gun problem in our cities when we're passing bills like this. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the well.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 29th to speak to the measure.
Colleagues, let's talk disingenuous. It is disingenuous to say that an individual cannot go out and legally purchase a firearm because we have a group of people in our state that go out and break in cars and steal firearms. What constitutional carry covers is people that want to go out and legally purchase a weapon. If today I carried a permit and I walked into a gun dealer, I would hand them my permit and they would sell me a weapon. Without my permit, if I walked into a gun dealer today, and purchased a weapon, they would tell me to wait 3 days so they could do a background check because they've already ran the background check if I have the permit. That is the purpose of the permit. If you want to know why violent crime is up, I will tell you once again why violent crime is up. It's up because mothers, fathers, churches, educational institutions, and others have abandoned their responsibility to raise responsible adults. Let's stop blaming an inanimate object, which again, I have several at home, and I'm proud to report that since I've been up here for almost 3 months, none of my weapons have broken out of my house and went and injured anyone. And let me tell you, do not be distracted by the hyperbole of law enforcement professionals, those at the top appointed by politicians, who choose to blame crime on a gun and not on their lack of aggressive enforcement of the law. This is not political, this is reality. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the well and encourage everyone to support my brother from the 31st.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 53rd to speak to the measure.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is a simple bill. The Constitution of the United States says that we have the right to bear arms. And it doesn't say if. It doesn't say if anything. It gives us the pleasure from our Constitution of protecting ourselves, our family, our property, and we should easily vote for this if you believe in the Constitution. And I want to thank the people in this body who believe in the Constitution. I want to thank their constituency that believe in the Constitution. I want to thank the NRA for being an outstanding gun group that knows the process and how it works and have stood alongside us in this process. I want to thank the 2A amendment folks, or they used to be called the Georgia Carry. They're an outstanding group, and they too have stood alongside us in going forward with this issue, and that's it. So thank you so much, colleagues. I'm sure that those of you who believe in the Second Amendment and our rights for that will vote along with this. And thank you, the senator from the 31st, in shepherding this bill. I think with all of us signing it too. Mr. President, I yield the well.
Senator has yielded the well. Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the motion? The chair sees none. The senator from the 31st has moved that the Senate agrees to the House substitute to Senate Bill 319. All those in favor vote yea, opposed nay. The secretary will unlock the machine. On the motion, the yeas are 34, the nays are 22, and the Senate has agreed to the House substitute to Senate Bill 319. Chair recognizes the senator from the 50th for a motion.
Mr. President, I move that the Senate adopt the conference committee report on House Bill 409.
Ms. Secretary, can you please read the caption?
Mr. President, the committees of conference on House Bill 409 recommend that both the Senate and the House of Representatives recede from their positions and that the attached committees of conference substitute to House Bill 409 be adopted. The committees of conference substitute to House Bill 409, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 18 of Title 15 of the OCGA relating to prosecuting attorneys, so as to revise appointment of substitute for absent or disqualified district attorneys, to provide provisions regarding disqualification of solicitors general pro temp, and for the purposes. Respectfully submitted, Senator Hatchett of the 50th District Chairman. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 50th to speak to the motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. House Bill 409 is a bill that we passed out last year. We had a disagreement with the House, and just to let you know, we held strong and held our position. So the part that we passed out is the same additional language in there that's good for the people of the state of Georgia. Right now, we're going to make it to where if a DA or a Solicitor General is disqualified or conflicted out, that the Executive Director of the Prosecuting Attorneys Council of the state of Georgia would appoint a new DA instead of the Attorney General. If there's any questions, I'm happy to yield.
You don't appear to have any questions.
Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the well.
Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the motion? The chair sees none. The senator from the 50th has moved that the Senate adopt the conference committee report on House Bill 409. All those in favor vote yea, opposed nay. The secretary will unlock the machine. On the motion, you're getting pretty good at this. The yeas are 55, the nays are 0, and the Senate has adopted the conference committee report on House Bill 409.
Ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, we are now moving on to the rules calendar. Mr. Secretary, if you'd read the caption on House Bill 1428.
House Bill 1428, a bill by Representative Estration of the 104th. A bill to be entitled an act to amend the OCGA so as to revise, modernize, correct errors or omissions in, and reenact the statutory portion of said code as amended in furtherance of the work of the Code Revision Commission, to repeal portions of said code or acts in amendment thereof which have become obsolete, have been declared to be unconstitutional, or for other purposes. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Judiciary recommends that this bill do pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator Strickland of the 17th District Chairman. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Recognize the senator from the 17th to present the measure.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members of the Senate, House Bill 1428 is just our annual code revision bill, as you heard, just correcting all the things we messed up on last year. I'm sure there'll be some for next year too. I'll be happy to take any questions. Not, I'll yield the well.
You have no questions,
Good.
Senator? Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? Is there objection to the reading of the report of the committee in favor of the bill? The chair hears none. The report is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? The chair hears none. The main question is ordered. The question is on the passage of the bill. All those in favor vote yea. Those opposed will vote nay. Mr. Secretary, if you'll unlock the machines.
On passage of the bill, the yeas are 54 and the nays are 0. This bill having received the requisite constitutional majority is therefore passed. The Secretary will read House Bill 1084. The Secretary.
House Bill 1084, a bill by Representatives Wade of the 9th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Title 20 of the OCGA relating to education so as to prevent the use of and reliance upon curricula or training programs which act upon, promote, or encourage certain concepts, with exceptions to provide for related matters and for other purposes. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Education and Youth recommend that this bill do pass by substitute. Respectfully submitted, Senator Payne of the 54th District Chairman. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Education and Youth offers the following substitute to House Bill 1084. A bill to be entitled an act to amend Title 20 of the OCGA relating to education so as to prevent the use of and reliance upon curricula or training programs which advocate for certain concepts with exceptions, to provide for such exceptions, to require local boards of education, local school superintendents, and the governing bodies of charter schools to prohibit discrimination on the basis of race and for other purposes. That completes the order, Mr. President.
I recognize the senator from the 49th District to speak to House Bill 1084.
Thank you, Mr. President.
You're out of order.
Ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, I bring to you House Bill 1084. This is very similar to the bill we had earlier in the session, and I won't belabor the point. Points I do want to make is that we can teach U.S. history, the good, the bad, and the ugly, without dividing children along racial lines. CRT is wrong and is destructive, and it views American history through a racial lens. It's a filter that focuses on victimhood, not triumph, and we have triumph in this country. It is driven by identity politics that promotes racial identity over American identity, and is a recipe for chaos and division. We don't defeat racism with racism. In order for our nation to survive and to prosper, we must teach patriotism, that America is good, though not perfect, but America is good. We secure our future by not indoctrinating grievance, but instilling skills through world-class instruction in language, math, and science. Mr. President, I yield the well.
Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? The chair hears none. The senator from the 49th has moved. The question is on the adoption of the committee substitute. Is there objection to the adoption of the committee substitute? Hearing none, the committee substitute is adopted. The question is on the passage of the bill by substitute. All of those in favor of the bill will vote yea. Opposed, nay. The secretary will unlock the machine. Pops, you know. Yeah. Yeah, that part disappeared. I got it now. If it scrolls like president stuff, that's what it was. I was expecting it to scroll up. Senator from the 53rd, do you have a parliamentary inquiry? State your inquiry.
That you're presiding, so you'll have to vote on such a controversial issue?
Normally the senator knows of which he speaks, but not in this situation. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 32 and the nays are 21. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is hereby passed by substitute. Will the secretary please read House Bill 1421?
House Bill 1421, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Part 2 of Article 3 of Chapter 8 of Title 12 of the OCGA relating to hazardous site response so as to dedicate the proceeds of certain hazardous waste fees to the Hazardous Waste Trust Fund as authorized and subject to the conditions imposed by Article 3, Section 9, Paragraph 6R of the Constitution of Georgia and for other purposes. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Finance recommends that this bill do pass by substitute. Respectfully submitted, Senator Huffstetler, the 52nd District Chairman. Mr. President, the Senate Finance Committee offers the following substitute to House Bill 1421, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 8 of Title 12 of the OCGA relating to waste management so as to dedicate the proceeds of certain hazardous waste fees to the Hazardous Waste Trust Fund as authorized and subject to the conditions imposed by Article 3, Section 9, Paragraph 6R of the Constitution of Georgia and for other purposes. That completes the order, Mr. President.
I recognize the senator from the 29th District to speak to House Bill 1421.
Thank you, Leader. What we have here is an opportunity for a real kumbaya moment dealing with hazardous waste and cleaning up the environment here in Georgia. On the legislation that we agree on both sides, what this bill does is it combines the solid waste fund legislation that this party unanimously supported a couple of weeks ago with the dedication of all hazardous waste trust fund fees. These are the fees that are used to clean up hazardous waste sites here in Georgia, and the monies are used to remediate old unlined landfills that pose serious threats to our drinking water here in Georgia and the environment throughout our communities. So I would strongly encourage each senator to vote yes on this. It is good for us and it's good for the state of Georgia. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the well.
Yielded. Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? The chair hears none. Parliamentary inquiry. State your inquiry.
Mr. President, I was going to ask if it was possible if we could turn the volume up. The senator is speaking so softly we couldn't hear him back here.
It's the new and improved senator from the 29th. Seeing no other senator wishing to speak for or against the measure. The question is on the adoption of the committee substitute. Is there objection to the adoption of the committee substitute? Chair hears none. The committee substitute is adopted. Is there objection to agreeing to the report of the committee which is favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? The chair hears none, and the main question is ordered. The question is on the passage of the bill by substitute. All those in favor of the bill will vote yea, opposed nay. The secretary will unlock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 51 and the nays are 1. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed by substitute. Yeah, I got no screen. Secretary will read the caption for House Bill 508.
House Bill 508, a bill by Representatives Carpenter of the 4th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 1 of Title 10 of the OCGA relating to selling and other trade practices so as to provide protections for commercial recordings, musical performances, and audiovisual works, to prohibit the deceptive practice of musical performance groups advertising and appearing as the recording group without the recording group's permission or denoting that it is a salute or tribute performance, and for the purposes.
I recognize...
Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Agriculture and Consumer Affairs recommend that this bill do pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator Walker of the 20th District Chairman. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Thank you. Sorry for preempting you there. I recognize the senator from the 46 to speak to HB 508.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ladies and gentlemen, this was a bill that we passed out previously dealing with the copycat artists that basically musical acts that steal the music of other recording artists and either fraudulently advertise those their performances or perform under their names without permission. The House added one piece to it that deals with streaming of music, True Origin of Goods Act that's been passed in a couple other states. So when you have an online site that allows streaming, you have to identify your full name, your physical address, your phone number, and your email number so that the citizens, consumers can know where the streaming services are coming from. If there are no questions, I yield the well.
You have no questions. Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? The chair hears none. Is there objection to agreeing to the report of the committee which is favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? The chair hears none, and the main question is ordered. The question is on the passage of the bill. All those in favor of the bill vote yea, opposed nay. The secretary will unlock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 53, the nays are 0, and this bill has received the requisite constitutional majority and is therefore passed. Secretary will read the caption to House Bill 1178.
House Bill 1178, a bill by Representatives Bonner of the 72nd and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Part 5 of Article 16 of Chapter 2 of Title 20 of the OCGA relating to review of removal of students in elementary and secondary education, so as to provide for the protection of the fundamental right of parents to direct the upbringing and education of their minor children from undue infringement by a state or local governmental entity, local board of education, and for the purposes. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Education and Youth recommends that this bill do pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator Payne of the 54th District Chairman. That completes the order, Mr. President.
I recognize the senator from the 45th District to speak to House Bill 1178.
Thank you, Mr. President. I bring before you House Bill 1178. It's a governor's bill, and it's also a companion bill that I brought before this body a few weeks ago. It's a simple transparency bill that allows parents to review curriculum that's being taught to their children for the first 2 weeks of a 9-week grading period. It also allows them to opt their child out of sex education. It also allows them to opt their child out of videograph and photograph. If there's no questions, I'll yield the well, Mr. President.
You have no questions. Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? The chair hears none. Is there objection to agreeing to the report of the committee which is favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? The chair hears none, and the main question is ordered. The question is on the passage of the bill. All those in favor of the bill will vote yea, opposed nay. The secretary will unlock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 31, the nays are 22. The bill, having received a requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. All right, here's our posture right now. We're going to stand in recess for 45 minutes, or 1:15. Come back at 1:15. Lunch is available in the Secretary of the Senate's print shop. Secretary of the Senate's print shop down at the end of the hallway right there. So we will stand in recess until 1:15.